Hello, my name is Scott Stirk, and today I'm going to be talking about employee reward and if it's possible or desirable to improve organisational performance through using these methods. So firstly, I'll just start with defining employee reward, types of employee reward, the effects of employee reward and what the business aims to get from it, the difficulties in measuring organisational performance through the use of employee reward, further research into employee reward, so determining whether it is possible or it's just desirable to have in a company, and then I'll evaluate the whole premise of employee reward and try and come to some sort of conclusion as to how it's either desirable or possible. So employee reward is from the Chartered Institute of Personal Development, which is CIPD, states that employee reward covers how people are rewarded in accordance with their value to an organisation. So it's about both financial and non-financial rewards, and embraces the strategies, policies, structures and processes used to develop and maintain reward systems. The ways in which people are valued can make a considerable impact on the effectiveness of the organisation, and it is at the heart of an employment relationship. Stripping this right back, I think would be a great place to start. When you're at home, or when you were younger and you used to have to do the chores for your mum, this is an example of how reward can affect organisational performance. So it's a strategy implemented by your mother to increase the efficiency and performance of an household or organisation. So however, doing chores isn't very motivating, so in order to motivate you to complete those tasks to an acceptable standard, she will offer you pocket money in return. This is just a simple example of how employee reward can relate to something every day to day. So it is important to remember that an organisation can just be a group of people and doesn't just relate to business. We encounter lots of organisations every day, all of which are trying to improve or maintain current levels of performance. Types of employee reward. There are many types of employee reward, and they can be combined in many different ways. And when applied in the correct way, it is led to believe that they can be a contributory factor when improving organisational performance. So rewards are normally split into two: financial and non-financial. Financial rewards, performance-based pay, bonuses, company car, company discounts and so on. Non-financial rewards, they can be recognition from managers and peers, increased responsibility, increased business influence and personal growth. Alder Fair in 1972 created the ERG theory. He believes that growth needs impel people to make creative or productive efforts for themselves. Satisfaction of growth needs depend on a person finding the opportunities they believe they can become the most full person possible. So this gives an employee increased motivation to better their own business, to better their own performance and business performance. So the effects of employee reward on business aims. So a lot of research behind employee reward relates to the effect it has on employee motivation, and in turn the effect it has on organisational performance. The ILM, the Institute of Leadership and Management, conducted a study on business around the UK, and only 13% of employees said they were motivated by financial bonuses. I thought the whole point of rewarding employees was to increase motivation. It doesn't seem that way by this study, does it? However, later on I will discuss Armstrong's reasoning behind this difficulty in measuring the results when implementing effective employee reward. A good case just to touch on is the Woolwich PLC case. It's a classic example of traditional appraisal systems to try and gauge different levels of reward within an organisation. So this is touching on the possibility or the desirability of implementing employee reward. So the problem with most organisations is to do with the criteria they determine when deciding on the allocation of rewards. So Woolwich developed a very structured, bureaucratic and objective appraisal survey determining employees' levels of reward. So basically it was just like a tick list. The employees were going throughout the year ticking the list off of all their objectives, and then they knew at the end of the year they were getting the maximum amount of bonus. Is this going to affect organisational performance at all? Of course it will make them hit their core goals, but this means they'll ignore everything else that's going on within the company. So it is also very, very apparent that companies need to be aware of this. So difficulties in measuring organisational performance for the use of employee reward. Companies are spending huge amounts of money on reward programs every year to try and motivate employees and increase organisational performance. Only very few HR managers, however, are able to justify and measure the reward practices in use and try and gain some positive results for the organisation. Armstrong in 2011 found that HR managers were reluctant to measure the efficiency of their reward practices. The reason for this, there is a big uncertainty surrounding the lack of measurement tools. The relationship between reward and performance is hazy and there's not much information. In Armstrong's research, the majority of survey respondents used employee attitude surveys as an indicator of reward effectiveness. That was 79%. Only 30% measured it in terms of employee performance. So basically, they were handing out tick lists. They'd tick, good, all the way down, and that would be your measurement of how employee reward effective business. Corby et al. Pose the same question that I'm trying to pose today. Does employee reward work? Is it desirable or is it possible? So using existing mechanisms such as employee attitude surveys and human capital reports, as far as this is possible, it's one thing considering perceptions of qualitative criteria and not just hard cost and business figures, so actually getting the opinions of the employees out there and not just giving them a tick list for them to hand in. So the model of the psychological contract is another interesting model that shows how organisational culture, policy and practices and expectations can lead to employee reward being given out, no real thought on effective measurement. It is now only fair that performance-related incentives are given out to build trust and provide a sense of motivation in the organisation employee base, but should this be the case? Should it be there as it's not a necessity, it should be something that they have to work for and it's not just a day-to-day thing. So further research into employee reward, Kerr in 1999 said that rewards should be the third thing an organisation works on. Measurement should be the second, and clear articulation of desired outcomes should be the first. Kerr basically saying that an organisation should consider the organisational performance goals and how they are going to measure performance against these goals before they even think about what rewards they are going to offer. So many companies today take employee reward for granted. They apply the reward programs with no thought on measuring the effectiveness of the programs and therefore have no idea on whether it is contributing to increased employee performance. This leads nicely onto Locke's goal theory. Locke states that motivation and performance are higher when individuals are set specific goals. Goals that are achievable but are accepted, and when there is feedback on the performance of these goals, it really sticks. So he says that it needs to be a two-way contribution from the employer and the employee. So participation in goal setting is important as it's a means of securing the setting of higher goals, and feedback is vital in maintaining motivation within this theory. Again, relating to some organisations out there, it highlights the fact that many organisations rely on appraisal systems and do not have that interaction that they need. This leads on to vocabularies of motives. So motives come from a deep social constructions that are often post hoc in their application. A manager undertaking a performance appraisal, for example, can explain her action as motivated by her concern for increased organisational performance. So the person being appraised, however, can see it as a means of manipulation. One person's motivation is another's rationalisation. So evaluating all of this, the whole premise of employee rewarding, if it's possible, it's just there. It's not it's just a necessity. So the starting point is to have a realistic view of what needs to be achieved and what is achievable. That is something Armstrong says from the outset. So organisational performance is too broad and there's too many factors influencing its change in order to measure one aspect of it accurately. So motivation and performance can be triggered by various aspects, such as something positive happening at home or even the drive to work in the morning. I'm not disregarding employee reward at all because it can have an effect on organisational performance, but it's just very, very hard to measure. Like every social construction and common belief, there is also other contributing factors that can affect change and affect people. There are steps that I think could be made into making inroads and to try and gauge employee reward effectiveness, but these must be treated with caution and in tandem with other organisational drivers along the way. Thank you for listening.